Joseph's brothers had wronged him greatly. They sold him into slavery. He wound up as a slave. Then he wound up in prison. And the next thing you know, Joseph is running the entire country and preparing for the famine. Well, when the famine comes, Joseph's the guy in charge of distributing the food to those who come to buy it. And sure enough, the famine reaches all the way to Israel, and Joseph's brothers are sent back by Jacob, their father, to go down there and buy some grain. They have no idea Joseph is still alive. And of course, they wind up before Joseph and they buy grain from him. Now, he's ornery with them. He locks them up in jail for a few days. And finally, he keeps one of them back in jail and says, unless you bring your little brother down here, I'm not going to believe that you're true. But he goes ahead and sends them back with some grain. Now, they had brought money, silver, to buy this grain. And it says in Genesis chapter 42, verse 25, Joseph commanded to fill their sacks with corn and to restore every man's money into his sack. That's the money they'd bought to pay him for the grain. And to give them provision for the way, and thus did he unto them. And they laded their asses with the corn and departed thence. And as one of them opened his sack to give his ass provender in the inn, he espied his money. For behold, it was in the sack's mouth. And he said unto his brethren, my money is restored, and lo, it is even in my sack. And their heart failed them, and they were afraid, saying one to another, what is this that God hath done unto us? Now see, they feel terrible about what they've done to their brother. And as they return to Egypt, they're reminded of this. And they are realizing that, or at least they think that God is getting even with them. And they are scared to death because now they're going to be charged with theft. They say this money is in the sack. And they say that God has done it. What is this that God has done to us? Well, anyway, they go home. They spend some time. They eat up all that grain. Jacob sends them back. He goes ahead and sends Benjamin with them in the way. When they show back up, they're very quick to tell the story. They want to make sure that the steward of Joseph knows that they actually had intended to pay for that first grain that they brought. And so they said unto him, and then chapter 43, verse 20, O sir, we came indeed down at the first to buy food, and it came to pass, when we came to the end, that we opened our sacks, and behold, every man's money was in the mouth of his sack, our money in full weight. And we had brought it again in our hands. They brought it back. Here it is. And the other money have we brought down in our hands to buy food. We cannot tell who put our money in our sacks. Now, you and I, we know the story. It was Joseph. But listen to what the steward says. And he said, peace be to you, fear not, your God and the God of your father hath given you treasure in your sacks. I had your money. And he brought Simeon out unto them. Treasure in your sack. You know, what this money represents is it represents Joseph's forgiveness of his brothers. Joseph is the one who put the money back in their sacks. He's taking care of his brothers. He has forgiven them. And they pack this halfway back home before they realize what's actually happened. And when they first see it, they see it as a burden. They see it as a curse. Oh no, it's going to look like we stole this. But Joseph is the one who's superintending this. But what this steward says to them is such a blessing, and it's so out of place. I mean, the way that this steward says it. What they saw as God doing something to them that was going to be a curse. Oh no, this money's in our sack. The steward reminds them, God, your God, the God of your fathers, he's put treasure in your sack. I had your money. You see, that treasure is the treasure of forgiveness. Do you have it? Have you received it? You know, God has been wronged by us. We have sinned. All have sinned and come short of the glory of God. And yet God's put treasure in our sack. He's given us the forgiveness of sins through the shed blood of his son, Jesus, on the cross. And it is a treasure. And there it is. When you open up your sack, there it is. You just need to receive it and be grateful for it. I hope that you know the forgiveness of God today that comes through Jesus. God bless you. Have a great day.